Number one, Ibble Dibble here. Hello, friends. So, of course, I had to let you know my thoughts on Harry and Meghan's trip to Nigeria. One of the royal maxims is you must be seen to be believed, and H&M seemed to like that one a lot more than never complain, never explain. Watching them, hearing them, I find myself not believing my eyes and my ears. It's surreal how this is so messed up on so many levels. It's hard to believe it's even happened, but it has. There's a lot here. I might make a second video, but these are my thoughts right now. Number one, I've noticed several news outlets calling this an official tour on which the couple attend official engagements. It is nothing of the sort. Stop applying royal verbiage to people with no diplomatic standing who are on vacation. This is tourism sponsored content, nothing more. This is no more significant than Manny MUA tripping with Tart to Bora Bora. It's a paid vacation with required PR stops, photographed and videoed professionally 8 to 10 hours a day. Furthermore, Nigeria is really getting their money's worth out of these two. Yes, being an influencer is a far easier job than most, but what they have to do is not relaxing. This was a whistle-stop tour of shit they don't care about, but needed to pretend to care about deeply, publicly, constantly. The definition of tedium and also quite risky because Harry and especially Meghan let their masks slip all the time. It's actually incredibly funny to me that this is exactly the kind of tedium they left the royals over. They wanted the designer clothes, the multi-million pound annual allowance, the decked out mansions, but resented having to smile and shake hands a mere 72 days a year for it. And here they are, almost 5 years later, doing exactly that. Can you imagine how much Meghan's face hurts from fighting her Botox to smile for those cameras 10 hours a day? She needs to get that forehead vein treated when she gets home. That level of fakery is a risk factor for thrombosis. Number two, what's in this for Nigeria? Serious question. Everyone knows Harry and Meghan are illegitimate second-rate royals. Thus, all they give is their stamp of illegitimacy and second-rateness to anything they associate with. Why would Nigeria or any other legitimate nation maintaining diplomatic relations with the UK and the US want to engage them? The fact that they were invited by a defense minister rather than the tourism board is highly suspicious. Is this man thumbing his nose at his own government? Because, as listener Sunny so aptly commented on one of my recent videos, quote, "I don't think it's the alphabet agencies between the disastrous duo. I think I'm glad it's just narcissism and plank brain," end quote. Tread lightly, Mr. Defense Minister. Just as H&M appear to be trying to set up an unsanctioned parallel royal court, you appear to be trying to set up an unsanctioned parallel diplomatic corps. And H&M are too stupid, scared, friendless, and greedy to protect you ever in any capacity. If I were the president of Nigeria, you'd be gone, girl. Or if I needed to keep you around a while longer for practical reasons, you'd be on the chopping block. In the US, impersonating a diplomat for material gain gets you a decade in prison, and that's just for purely material gain. Most people who put themselves in the position of impersonating a diplomatic officer are also going to get hit with espionage charges because, after all, what is more materially valuable than state secrets? I don't think H&M have any state secrets, except for incidentals Harry may remember from his childhood, but their constant lawsuits with the UK government over security clearances and diplomatic status are a red flag. The US State Department's dragging their feet on honoring FOIA requests for Harry's visa applications is a red flag. Their consistent failure to file taxes in a timely manner for their charities is a red flag. But you don't even need eyes to see those red flags because everywhere they go, Brits and Americans boo them loudly and call them traitors when they step out of their car. You could be blind mind and still see them for what they are. On the world stage and in national political theaters, these two are pointless and powerless, but they're also feckless and very publicly, literally for sale, they have Hollywood agents. For the good of your own political career and national reputation, stay away from them. What are you doing? Number 3, consumers. Whether they're buying into jam scams or political ideologies, want stories, connection, and purpose. H&M give distraction, obstruction, and condescension with a little side of malice. Simply by inviting this wannabe colonial queen to spew her nonsense and transpose her very questionable personal and foreign values onto your society, you are tacitly telling Nigerian women you don't want to hear from them. No. You'll invite some obnoxious white American woman with a tiny amount of local DNA, roll out the red carpet, give her a princess title, tell everyone she's better than them, and let her tell everyone how to behave. Is this what you really want Nigerian women to aspire to? Meghan rails against misogyny, but in this trip anyway, she's clearly a servant of the patriarchy. Here we have the military men of Nigeria putting her on a pedestal like a gold-plated turd. All but the stupidest Nigerian women hear you loud and clear, and no one likes it. Number 4, it's the class thing again. Nigeria is an extremely wealthy country, but that wealth is also extremely polarized. There's nothing relatable about seeing people who can easily afford a super luxury vacation being whisked away on a faux royal tour. What are we even supposed to aspire to when we look at them? Are you trying to convince foreigners to visit Nigeria for ethically corrupt volunteerism? Or are you trying to convince Nigerians to start behaving like H&M as dangerous interlopers and cosplay diplomats, if not straight up traitors? Another of my recent commenters explained there are almost 400 recognized tribal chieftains that we would call kings in Nigeria. And of course, many have multiple wives, tons of kids. There are lots of queens, princes, princesses, etc. running around. Many of them have dual citizenships or golden visas in foreign countries. What would the Nigerian government do if these people started soliciting big money and gifts from foreign governments to very publicly validate specious diplomatic relationships by abusing their titles and status? Nigeria is already infamous for corruption. That's already a really bad look, but associating with H&M just takes it to the next level, an actually dangerous place. Cui bono? Number 5, virality is not always positive. I knew H&M touched down in Nigeria when I started getting an influx of crazy, stupid, and racist comments on my over a year old Meghan is not 43% Nigerian video. Not mostly from Nigerians, mind you, mostly from Americans with chips on their shoulder, it seems like. At first, I thought it was just so fucking weird that Meghan thought she had to be genetically Nigerian, even though that's not a thing, to enjoy and promote Nigeria. But it's since become clear that she's actually abusing Nigerians' hospitality and welcoming attitude while insulting their intelligence. In that same video where I broke down her actual likely DNA percentage range based on statistics and history, taking my numbers from scientific studies published in the top peer-reviewed international scientific journals, card above, link in the description box below. I also discussed how it is so cliche, ugly American to travel where your ancestors came from and loudly proclaim belonging in and maybe even ownership of that culture despite complete ignorance of the language, manners, geography, cuisine, politics, religion, modern history, etc. But by doubling down on this fake Nigerian heritage despite being publicly debunked, Meghan is embarrassing herself, she's embarrassing Nigeria, and she's race baiting. She's using and abusing the Nigerian identity she doesn't even possess to race bait in her native country, the US and the UK. And it is unfathomable to me that the mainstream media generally and the Nigerian big media specifically has let her run with these obvious lies. Again, let's reverse the roles. Let's pretend some non-working Nigerian royal accepted money to do a PR tour in a foreign nation, mischaracterized their heritage as much more aligned with that foreign nation than it actually is, repeatedly used that claim to trigger ethnic strife, or as it's more commonly called in Nigeria, intergroup conflict back in Nigeria, and was not only supported in those false claims by that foreign government, but celebrated by them for those false claims. Would Nigeria accept that from one of their citizens, from one of their royals? America is hashtag too big to care. Hashtag give me liberty or give me death, hashtag First Amendment. They're also not our royals. I think Nigeria is also pretty laissez-faire with this stuff. As for the UK, Godspeed. But plenty of governments would interpret that alone as collusion, with the aim of destabilizing their government. And I'm not talking about banana republics and dictatorships either. In Malaysia, for example, politicians who provoke the public with the 3 Rs, race, religion, and royals, risk getting thrown in jail. I'm very American in that I believe H&M should be able to continue to do and say as they please. Unlike them, I am completely for free speech, completely against censorship. And I'm thankful that I'm able to say, even if they're not criminal, they're disingenuous, divisive, and disgraceful. Not to mention regressive and potentially dangerous. And I haven't even gotten into their childishness, their short-sightedness, and the way they did their absolute best to make the final years of the Queen, Prince Philip's, and perhaps Thomas Markle and King Charles' lives miserable. Meghan's thanking the Nigerians for welcoming her home. Prodigal daughter, you have a home. You have 2 homes. They're the opposite of respectable, regal, royal. I cannot imagine the typical Nigerian appreciates this disgusting behavior any more than the typical Brit or American. Number 6, and this one is specifically for Harry. Harry, if you think you can erase public memory of all the ignorant shit you've said and scandals you've been a part of in your criminally negligent roles in African charities, including Sentabale and African parks, by clogging up Google results for Meghan, Harry, Sussex, Africa, with endless boring videos of this tour, you have another thing coming. The elephant never forgets. You have failed needy women and children relying on you, and you have done so for years. Until you address and rectify these failures directly, you will never wash that stain from your reputation. Any other woman would be awake at night like Lady Macbeth, driving herself crazy with guilt, but you were unlucky or evil enough to marry Meghan, a woman so self-satisfied and stupid she thinks swanning around half naked in totally inappropriate settings and provoking the predictable internet clamor is the best way to solve your crisis of courage. Just wow. Like I said at the top, it feels surreal to me. You are King Charles's son. You are Diana's son. How could you? How dare you? Is this really happening? And for those of you who are new here, before you call me jaundiced or jealous in the comments, please explain to us all, what good did Meghan and Harry do on this trip? If you say promote Invictus, I will scream. Choosing a city to host Invictus cannot be made a contest decided by who wines and dines and bribes Harry and Meghan the best. You can't look at their itinerary and honestly say they even intended to do anything good. This was pure self-promotion. I'd love to hear your argument otherwise. Give me one example. Hugging school children, isn't it? Being white and being there is not charity work. If you think it is, you've internalized some civilizing mission colonial thinking. Please do not tell me the difference between Harry and Meghan getting embraced in Nigeria and William and Kate getting dressed down in the Caribbean is one drop. Okay, I'm done for the day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Toodles. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.